Good morning, all. What's going on this thing this morning? Let's see. Yeah, let's have the time go. Good morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my brooms. I still don't have your song yet, Roxanne, but hopefully I could fix that for Sunday. Margaret Thomas, morning. soon, Roxanne. Aria Gani, morning. Natalie F, morning to you. Arlene Lewis, morning, Arlene. J Dimple, 66. Pauline Buckmeyer, morning. A blessed morning to you as well, Ruckman. Carol Boyce John, morning. Denise Bramble, morning, Denise. Pamela O'Connor, morning to you as well. Alberta Sampad, morning. Alberta Eric, morning to you, sir. You, Danny. What's the Rude, morning. Ann Niles, morning to you. Annette Bed, morning, Annette. Angela Cathy, Truth Speaker 27. Shah, morning to all of you. Clyde McKenzie, John Keto, Marlene Panton, Kay Borrell, Annette Neptune, morning to you. Ria Edwin, Pedro, Mindful Consumer, morning all of you guys. Vienna Farmer Schwa, morning. Sedena Kwashi, morning Sedena. Desmond Samuel, Linda Supreme, morning to all of you. We are on Facebook. Morning, Carol. Carol is early this morning. Carol, is it overcast by you? It's supposed to get some rain today, so we'll see how that goes. It did say it's going to be a rainy dry season, start to the dry season. Phyllis Antoine, morning, Phyllis. Alicia Alman de Rocher, morning. Good morning to His Excellency President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marissa Keegan. Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Carlos Fondelier, my paramount friend, morning, sir. Margaret Matheson, morning, Margaret. Joy Ragunanan, morning to you. Nadia Lewis Dixon, Ashton Clark, Denise Cummings, morning, guys. Roxanne is paging Jenny to give me. Roxanne, you had a page, Eric. You no longer asking Eric for that song. Gail Rambley, Theophilus Lockheed, morning. Daryl Nanton, good morning, sir. Jennifer Dorset, Diane Mohammed, morning to you guys. Dexter James, morning, Dexter. Harold Lee, Shell Lambert, Pamela David, morning to you guys. Jenny Joseph, good morning to Mr. Chance, Mr. Yates, morning to all of you. Yeah, Roxanne, call him out. What's going on with this thing? Right. Alright, so folks, these devices this morning giving me some stress, but anyway. 12, we have the Deem Rodney, Marlon McAllister, Henry Amsterdam, morning to you. Phyllis Farrell, Anne-Marie Drakes, Chilean Timmerman, morning. Sandra Rogers, Arthur Lucian, James Yvonne Ashby, morning. Belated birthday greetings to Mr. Ian Glowden, another one of our listeners, I think. Yeah, Ian celebrated a birthday on, what day was that? Tuesday. Unfortunately, the Facebook notification came up late, so I didn't see it until after the program. So, Ian, I trust that you had an enjoyable birthday. All right, so let me jump into it because it's already 6:42 and time. Where does the time go? Not to touch on this morning, boy. So many things. Okay, wherever that is. That's now, folks. Let me just adjust this thing here. So let me deal with the minor things first. What we may call the minor things, right? Where is it? Just let me get this here. The Express newspaper. As we see, the Jamet of Independence Square strikes once again. I don't know. I don't know if it is they don't have the Express doesn't have a manager, an editor, somebody who looks at the stories before they are published. Um, so the Express published an article which I touched on, or well, I touched on the headline, and I'm now seeing the article here on Monday, entitled "Cruise Ships Skip Tobago Over SOE." Story by Elizabeth Williams. Two cruise ships have cancelled their calls to Tobago due to the ongoing state of emergency. The Norwegian Jade, which is due to dock at Scarborough Port, which was due to dock at the Scarborough Port last Friday with over 3,000 cruise passengers, was one of the cancellations. The other cancellation is said to be the Costa Fortuna. This was confirmed by Scarborough Port sources as well as cruise ship agent Charles Cavallo. Commenting yesterday on the Norwegian Jade cancellation, Cavallo said, "I sent an email to the ship, but the call was cancelled. This year, Tobago is set to realize fewer cruise ship calls than last year. And at last Thursday's Tobago Security Council stakeholders meeting, Tourism Secretary Tashia Boris indicated there has been some fallout in the tourism industry since the SOE was announced." Right. So it seems Mr. Cavallo has since indicated that he asked the Express to withdraw the statement on two cruise ships being cancelled due to the SOE. He said it was mischievous, and as at today, he says we have no such cancellation of cruise ships. All our cruise ships are on schedule as planned, and I also did not give them permission to use my photo in this article. So Mr. Cavallo is saying that we don't know where the Express got that information from. There are no cancellations, right? Ah, boy. Never a dull moment with the Jamet of Independence Square. Okay, no surprise there. Right. Let's go again. See something here. Okay. Right. So I came across let me put this thing on there. Let me just set this up. Okay, so we should be good to go there. Let me see. Just give me 1 second, folks. Let me just switch this thing here. All right. So a friend of mine yesterday sent me the latest rounds of UNC propaganda. This is a guy I've mentioned to you all from time to time who relishes sending me nonsense, rubbish. Every time he see a piece of bacchanal or couture, he loves to send it to me. And what he believes is an aha moment, right? That, hey, now this is somebody who was he says he was a supporter of the PNM. I know he was. And now, because he has the propaganda machinery has successfully twisted his mind, he upset to the PNM and say he want to part of them again and done and so he went to vote for the UNC. But the propaganda machinery is so strong on some people, right? Because no matter what I tell this guy, now every time he sends me rubbish like this, I debunk it, and then he will reply, "You're good, no? You're real good. You're real good. You could defend your party. Yeah, man. Yeah, man." And then the conversation will switch until the next time he gets something, and no fact checking, he just sends it. For those of you who would have listened last night to Joe Biden's farewell speech, and he spoke about misinformation, disinformation, propaganda machinery, and so on, and the impact that it could have on election. And it is not to be taken lightly, as some seem to be taking it, right? Because when the UNC puts out a propaganda machine, not just the UNC, but those who are opposed to the PNM, and there is no effective response or timely response, what happens is that this propaganda takes root, and then these people go and they spread it, and they keep spreading it. And of course, by the time the truth comes out later on, that has now become a non-issue. But it has already been cemented in the minds of people. So when they're having the discussions, these things come up as talking points. And most times they would have missed the debunking, they would have missed the truth that would have subsequently come out, because when the truth came out on that issue, there was some other prevailing issue that people were focused on, right? So this is the latest piece of propaganda. Listen to this.
Wait, Penny, use a caca hole too? But wait now, everybody in the PNL corrupted? $4.15 million in contracts to your father, and 3/4 of the residents in Arriva can't get a job. Half of them are being crime and 7 tenement in the corner. Because you giving your father all the contracts. Great is the PNM, nothing. It's all you have to burn, Penny, all you.
So now they're attacking Penny, right? They were upset. Stuart Young get picked. Penny's the better choice, and Penny. And I guess they realize it's finally starting to understand what has transpired, meaning that while Stuart Young has been given the nod to replace Dr. Rowley as Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley remains political leader of the PNM. And at some point in time in the coming months, PNM is going to have an internal election at which one of the positions that would be up for contest is that of political leader once Dr. Rowley steps down from that office, right? And they realize that there are a lot of people who, right, so Cheryl is telling me the article from Sunshine. Cheryl, I was supposed to pick up the Sunshine newspaper last night. I said I was going to, and I forget that clean out. Anyway, I forget that clean. And I reminded myself, but I had so many things to do in between that by the time, it was only when I got home, I said, oh, shucks. Anyway, so they realized that some people who were upset with the PNM, that they were really upset with the PNM, they had their issues with Dr. Rowley. Again, because of the propaganda that was out there, the perception that has been created, or the narrative that Dr. Rowley is an oppressor, he don't care about people and so on, and being the political leader and the prime minister, that all of these hardships that some people are meeting with is because of Rowley and Rowley this and Rowley that, right? And they realize, people say, well, okay, well, if Rowley gone now, I could, the UNC is unpalatable. And some people who were saying they weren't going to vote said, well, all right, I'll give Stuart Young a chance. Or there's still an opportunity for Penny to become leader. So I'll play something as well. You all know when I say craving indulgence moment, who are talking about, right? So forgive me in advance. So they come up with this thing now, as I just played for you there, claiming that Penny gave $4.15 million in contracts to her father. And, here they're saying that she corrupt and all of them, and everybody had to go and whatnot and stuff. So when he sent me this, I was taken aback. I said, but I don't recall reading anything or hearing anything about this. And if that is the case, I'm certain somebody in the UNC would have raised it. So what it is, aside from the audio that you just heard, they have a graphic. Let me show you, right? They have a graphic here of what is supposed to be a Newsday article, right? And so I'm saying, well, okay, but the graphic doesn't have a date on it, so I don't know when this supposed article was supposed to come up. But look at the extent to which they go in, right? They creating using AI to create fake headlines, newspaper headlines, to give it legitimacy. So I said, before I take a turn in his backside, let me do my own research, right? Because I don't want to rough up the man, and then next thing, this is a genuine article. So the exact headline that they have on this fake Newsday headline, front page, I typed that into Google, nothing came up, because I was hoping to find the exact article that spoke to that, and nothing came up. So that was the first red flag. Tried a couple other things, nothing came up. I said, let me try and Google Penny Beckles' father dies, because I seem to recall some time ago Penny's father had died. And that's so I Googled that, and an article came up on that. Right? An article from the Daily Express. This is a true article, genuine article, dated March 18th, 2015. Here the data, March 18th, 2015. Who was in office and who was the Prime Minister on the 18th of March 2015? Which party was in government on the 18th of March 2015? Not the PNM. Former opposition Senator Penelope Beckles Robinson lamented on Wednesday night it has been a difficult time for her. Beckles Robinson made the statement as she visited the PNM's headquarters at Balize House, Port of Spain, to support Niliong Hippolyte when he appeared before the party's screening committee. Hippolyte was rejected in his quest to represent Laventille West constituency in the upcoming general election. On February 4th, Beckles Robinson was rejected in her bid to represent the PNM in the Arima constituency. Foremost on Beckles Robinson's mind, however, was her family. It really has been a difficult time for me, and I'm really focusing on that at this point in time, she said. Since Anthony Garcia was selected as the PNM candidate for Arima ahead of Beckles Robinson, there has been some dissent from several quarters. However, Beckles Robinson reaffirmed her allegiance to the PNM. She said her family was her main priority now, though at the top of her list, and the top of her list of taking care of her niece. Where is it? On January 6th, Beckles Robinson's sister, Michelle, who had lived abroad, passed away while on vacation in Trinidad. And on February 8th, Beckles Robinson's father, Lionel, died. So Penny's father died on the 8th of February, 2015. Now, between 2010 to 2015, as you all would know, Penny was nowhere near the parliament. She wasn't an MP. The PNM wasn't in government, so she couldn't give any contract between 2010 to 2015. She had been passed over for the Arima seat because Laurel Azama was the favorite. And we know the upheaval that caused, and the people in Arima say, no Penny, no vote. Right? They told Mr. Manning that. Mr. Manning went ahead. They picked Laurel Azama, and of course, we lost Arima to the People's Partnership, Roger Samuel. Penny then went on to try and screen for Locketta Talparo. Again, she didn't get the nod for there either, and we lost that seat to Jairam Simongal of the People's Partnership. So she couldn't give any contract between 2010 to 2015. She wasn't in government. She wasn't an MP. So I don't know how. The father died on the 8th of February, 2015. Again, as I just read there for you, Penny did not get the nod in 2015 to contest any seats. So she wasn't in parliament between 2015 to 2020. She wasn't in government. She wasn't an MP. In fact, what she was the Trinidad and Tobago, this country's permanent resident to the United Nations. She was based in New York. So it had no contracts to give there either. All right? And then 2020 to present, she has been a government minister. Now, unless Penny when she became a government minister, she was bestowed with powers to resurrect the dead. I don't know how she could have given contracts to her father, who has been deceased for almost 10 years now. But again, you see the nonsense that they're doing? It's difficult for them to find dirt on Penny. So what they're doing, they're making it up. Making it up. Because they find too much people saying, yeah, we like Penny and this and that and whatnot. And maybe we'll say, well, okay, she didn't get picked, but this is the extent to which these people are going. The UNC. Making up things like this, and clearly it was so convincing, because I said when I saw it, I wasn't too sure. So I had to check for myself. But for the people who are not minded to check and who will just see it and listen to it and then share it and then go and talk about it, UNC, it have a newspaper article, Newsday article, say Penny gave she father $4.15 million in contracts. I look at the figures that they're coming up with too to make it seem legit. Because my friend who sent me this nonsense is among the intellectually lazy, as I had to tell him. And once I realized that and I did my research, I took a turn in his backside. I said, I'm fed up, stop sending me this nonsense. Right? And you sent it. with a voice note, accompanied with a voice note talking about, oh, look at this government and what way your government doing. And there's so much contractors there, they owing and they ain't paying the contractors and them. But she could find $4 million to get to she father. I just hope they pay them contractors. And my boy have attitude with it. So I returned the attitude twofold. And I let him know. I said, do a little bit of research before you send me this rubbish. I said, because when you sent me this, immediately the first thing I did was to go on Google and try and find the correct information. And I sent him the article. I said, you couldn't do that? But no, you figure you had an aha moment and you just send it. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that you sent it to. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're good enough. You're good enough. Yeah, it's just thing. Yeah, but still, for me time he mentioned that, but still, you rubbed me the wrong way already. But still what? You're upset because you thought Penny Paid gave her father $4.1 million in contracts, right? You're maligning the dead. The man can rest in peace. This is how you nastiness. This is the depths that you all will go to, right? You wouldn't even go and do a research to see if it is Penny father alive or dead before you publish this rubbish that could be easily debunked. But you're sending me that nonsense. I don't want to hear no but nothing. No but still. I said, because if you have an issue with what you thought was corruption, that the minister gave $4.1 million in contracts to her father, but you don't have an issue with Barry Padarath, who in 2011, as Kamala's post carrier, opened a business with Imami and got over $17 million in contracts. You don't have an issue with that, but you have an issue because you thought Penny gave her father $4.1 million. But the idiocy of the UNC, less is more, right? Less is more. So 4.1 million is more than 17. You have a problem with the 17, but you're vexed. And tell me, yeah, well, I know the UNC corrupt too, but oh gosh, by the PNM, they had to go, boy, they had to go. I say, really? So you prepared to vote for a man who's on $1 million bill for fraud? Right? Who defrauded you? You who working hard as a security officer, right? You could barely make ends meet, but you still have to pay whatever to the state. You're vexed. And this man who defrauded you and the rest of citizens, you have no problem voting for him, right? You have no problem voting for him. You have $800 million in big ghost houses unaccounted for. You have no problem with voting for that. You vote for that. But you have an issue because you thought 4.1 million. I said, rock so with that and miss me with this nonsense. I tell you, stop sending me nonsense. And before this election season is over, I could tell you I'm going to lose quite a few friends, just as I did in 2010. When I told them, they come and tell me with the nonsense about, oh, the People's Partnership is something different and give them a chance. And Kamala was never prime minister and the first female prime minister. And I said, listen to me, I don't need to give them no chance. I know what these people are about. They're not fooling me. Right? Nah, if it is, it will work out. We could always go back and vote for the PNM. Yeah, but you're willing to risk 5 years of corruption, theft, graft, you name it? Oh, let's go ahead. Plenty of them since 2010. No talk. I don't want no friend thing with all that. Right? Because if you could support that nonsense, and look how that turned out. And so I find myself in the same situation again, having to tell, a word to the wise is sufficient. What else all you want? You want Kamala to come out like Trump and say she could walk out on Independence Square and shoot somebody and not lose any votes? That's what it is. But again, things like this and more of this will come. And the party needs to have a more effective machinery to respond to things like this, because these are the little things. We might say, we dismiss it, yeah, that's just UNC propaganda. Yes, it's UNC propaganda. But a lot of people out there don't know that it is propaganda. They will not take the time to research to find out that it is propaganda. And they will share it. And you just need to affect enough people. We need to understand something, right? Some seats are lost by a matter of a couple hundred votes. A few hundred votes. We're talking thousands. A few hundred votes. And it is not just when they say, well, PNI people know better. No. No. They should. But some of them don't want to know better. And things like this, you know, there's me voting. All of them is the same thing. The PNM is my party here, but nothing. but nothing. So I see they make me and Jenny and a few others a celebrity because they put out now a video collage. So they take screenshots, video screenshots of um, some of our lives and so on, and they put it together and they juxtapose it against a video with the queen of the EDR, right? The queen of East Dry River, who loves to profess herself as being PNM, but within recent times, and not even recent, even before that, has been ill speaking the PNM, bad talking the PNM, and saying, and you know what was upset me when PNM is my party. That's my party, but I telling all you, PNM losing the election, ting ling 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 ling, ringing bell. And I have my crystal ball here, and you see my crystal ball don't lead me wrong, you know. I see that the same crystal ball that told you the PNM was going to lose the local government election. It seems somebody's crystal ball needs to get a tune up, right? Need a tune up. But both did not. When Kamala was there, Kamala do this, so we and we black people benefit and we get things from Kamala and we get what you got from Kamala? What did you get from Kamala? And this is what upsets me when they come with this nebulism with Kamala help black people. How did she do that? Give us the specifics. Because I seem to recall, and Kamala, Rowley and Netta, they had nothing for the young people, and all the young people in East Dry River, and no jobs. I seem to recall when Kamala Prasad Bisasa became Prime Minister, very early on in her tenure as Prime Minister, her government fired 527 URP workers, Unemployment Relief Program. 527 URP workers. Why? Because they said that they were political hires. PNM, 527 of them lost their jobs. Who are the people who are most inclined towards URP, right? Isn't that the same single mothers that Kamala loved to talk about, that she so care about? Winston tell him about $500 a month for baby grant. But the URP salary, Winston, is more than $500 a month. And Prasad Bisasa and her government had no problem in firing 527 URP workers among the most economically vulnerable in the country. And they took the matter to court, filed a class action suit. And this government, this administration, ended up having to pay out over $20 million to these 527 workers who were fired by the People's Partnership Administration because they were perceived to be PNM. Where was the queen of EDR then? I think she probably passed through that or something. I don't know. Right? Kamala helped black people and she helped black people. Really? How did she help that 500? Because I'm certain it had no 1% in that 527. So I'm certain all 527 of those persons were black people. And she fired all of them because why? Perceived to be PNM. But we both said, when Kamala do this and that for black people. The problem is that individual has a following, right? A following PNM seats. Not that they could cause much damage in the PNM areas. You might have some fallout in terms of the young people who buy into that because this individual is a pillar of the community in which she lives. And people listen to her and so on. But within recent times, we've seen David Naked and Jolene John frequenting her home. And whenever they go to visit her, she makes it a point to do a live. They say, hey, look, my brother and my sister, look them, look how they come and see me and they come and they bring things for me. We like that. Okay, no problem. Your brother and your sister come and bring things and give them an opportunity to use your platform to spread their propaganda and talk about the PNM this and the PNM that. And the PNM ain't do nothing. But I recall seeing a video that this very same individual did where Foster Cummings would have visited her some time ago, and she and Foster Cummings were walking in East Dry River, and she was showing him places that they could use, empty lots, vacant lots that could be used to put something for the young people. But the individual will never use her platform. I know this is the deception that I can't take, right? The deception. Oh, the PM, Mr. Manning, Patrick Manning is my father, I'm my father, I'm my father, and the PNM is my party. And every now and then you put on your red jersey with your PNM symbol on it, right? With your balize on it. Let's say your PNM. You ain't like Rowley, and you ain't like this one, and you like Penny, and now you're vexed because Penny, um, Penny is a pushover, and nobody, when Mr. Manning was there, the crowd that came out at Balize House to support Mr. Manning, and where was everybody who was to support Penny and so on? To support Penny for what? It was not a leadership contest. The leadership contest will come later. So when that time comes and Penny decides that she wants to contest, will you be there? Will you be bringing maxi loads of people to support the same Penny? But in the meantime, you're doing damage to the party, right? Or trying to do damage to the party in an election year. As I recall, this individual was suspended from the PNM some time ago, right? Pending when Franklin Khan was the chairman of the party, and he would have had an announcement because of certain things that this person would have done during the election. And she was suspended from the party. But you maintain, oh, yeah, just like this one, Wall Street, claiming he's PNM and he's PNM. Don't have a PNM party card. Never, you don't have a PNM registration number, but you're posting, oh, here's PNM. Really? You're PNM? No. These are the people to watch. Oh, just give me 1 second here. Let me just get this. And of course, the UNC Facebook pages and so on, and the Tobago People's Party, more than happy to share this foolishness. In fact, that's where I saw it. Never a dull moment with them. That's why I keep saying the TPP is just the Tobago, the UNC party group in Tobago. That's what it is. So, I'm going to do this.
9 years they ain't do nothing for we. 9 years. You ain't do nothing for we. Nothing. You ain't better we life. And we had to come and take that now for the next 5 years. I know people drinking canal water for the next 5 years. We had them last election. You could come now, you could keep it to the end of the year, you could keep it what? PNM is going to lose election. Me lying to tell you that that's my party. Performance me told talk. You question the man in the parliament. Is that watchman? It's the same old wine, but it's in a different bottle and a different glass. While you try to fool PNM with. It's the same attitude we get. You've only given nothing for the last 10 years. You come now with short talk to give us what? Headache? Headache? Or let's stop playing the fool now, man. Or let's stop playing the fool now, man. PNM going mad. All our money we're gone missing. All our money we're gone missing. Or let's still want to take the little 25,000 old man having she pocket to start a berry. She fall long. Now let wicked boy. Let go from there. Go from there. Go from there. Nobody will let it. Go. Go from there. Instead for let it go. I want a man in Tobago. Hey, the man in Tobago, I want you to take them 2 seats. Take them 2 seats from them.
Is that somebody who is a genuine PNM? Is that how they would speak? 9 years, only ain't giving nothing. 9 years, we ain't getting nothing, and we ain't getting nothing. Clearly. I mentioned people, those who suffering from didn't get. I didn't get, so I vex. I was expecting to get, so I vex. And how do I respond? I'm going to attack the party, right? And advocating. This is why the individual was suspended from the PNM for utterances like this. This is a free country and you're entitled to free speech. You can't be no PNM. Because if Mr. Manning was alive today, even if he wasn't the leader of the party and he wasn't in parliament, right? Hearing that, knowing all the things that he would have done, and all the ways in which this individual would have benefited from the PNM. But we forget that because you must always get and more. The more, it's never enough. And all we ain't get. You would never use your platform to promote all of the programs that the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service have for the same young people in your community. Right? Some of these very same young people probably they just don't know. They need guidance as to how to sign up for these programs, how to register for it. Right? Because I've made the point on numerous occasions, the website for the Ministry of Youth Development and National Services is deficient, right? But I make the point, use your platform for that. Instead of ringing bell and, oh, 9 years and we ain't get nothing, and 9 years we ain't get nothing, and who is we? Who is we? If you would have benefited years ago, it is time for the next generation to benefit. You're living in a nice big house, a well-furnished house, and so on. That's great. That's wonderful. You want for nothing. You can hop on a plane when you want and go to New York or wherever. Right? Your crystal ball is really a snow globe from New York. You have videos and things showing that you were in New York and all of that. Great. You could travel. Wonderful. But if you really care about the youth in East Dry River and the youth in your community, rather than using your platform to malign the government dishonestly and claiming that the government didn't do nothing and they had nothing in place for the youth, you would go and invite Foster Cummings to come to East Dry River, like he did when you walk with him to show him this empty lot of land and what could be done and so on and so on. That's what you would do. Invite him, come on your platform and say, hey, if you tell the people and them what it is you have for them now, let them know what the ministry have, what the government have for the young people. You're doing that. You're not doing that. But bring David Naked and bring Jolene John to malign and bad talk the party that you claim. Yes, I is PNM. That is my party. That could never be your party. Could never be your party. Because for all the wrong that the UNC did, you don't see UNC supporters, prominent UNC supporters doing live and saying the UNC is my party, you know, but that's the fundamental difference. So you think that Kamala coming back, you see when Kamala was there, she helped black people. What did she do for the people of East Dry River? She gave you all color me orange. $69 a day to paint dilapidated buildings for 3 months and then tell all you part of that money had to pay for the uniform that they gave you. Right? That's what she gave the people of East Dry River, Duncan Street and Nelson Street and all these different areas. That's what she gave them. Took them to the Hilton Hotel for the launch of the program, and they were greeted when they got there by a heavily armed contingent of guard and emergency, right? Riot police with the helmets and the shield and thing, because they know it's a certain never see from East Dry River coming. So you have to be prepared for them because they never come to a place like this apparently, you know? So they know we need to protect the property. And then once inside, you treating them like little children. Hands up, out, down. I wonder if this individual forget that. That's what you want for the youth in East Dry River. Kobo sweat. 3 months work so they could get a little crumbs. A little something just to tie them over for 3 months, and then after that, well, we'll wait and see what else they could come up with. Right? Live sport. Did the youth benefit? Some of them present the ID card, right? And they get a little something, a little kakada every fortnight or at the end of the month, and half of that has to go to whoever, the coordinator. How were their lives improved? How many of them working in nice, cushy office jobs today because Kamala helped them? How many of them? When it is the police in the state of emergency in 2011, when they passed through East Dry River, because the majority of the people they pick up, the majority of the 8,000 or so young African youth that they pick up came from the East Dry River and environs. That's where they came from. We saw the video, Ian Allen video, when they went on Duncan Street and Nelson Street and just grabbing man because they're in a white Vita vest and rubber slippers and they have their pants below their waist and they head in flat. Some of them now coming from work and see the commotion. It's better they mind the business and go home, right? The knapsack on their back and they say, hey, looking suspect, come, jump in the back. Why not? I tell you, jump in the back of the van, hush your mouth, go inside it, go and sit down. You lock up. That's how she helped. That's how she helped the black people. Queen of EDR, that's how she helped them. Oh, your memory short, you forget that. But we want more of that. Yeah, we want more of that. That's what we want. To the young mothers in East Dry River and environs. You know what? We don't want to give them skills training. We don't want to give them the $20,000 or so to start their business that the East Port of Spain Development Company is offering them. The $3 million that East Port of Spain Development Company set aside for them, so that they could come out of poverty. They could write their own paychecks. For those of them who have the little stall on Charlotte Street and Frederick Street selling cucumbers and pimento pepper, chive, celery, bodi, and this stuff, and have aspirations to do more. For those of them who have the skills to be able to do hair and nails and whatnot, but they just don't have the seed capital to be able to rent a spot. So right now they're doing it out of their home. And the clientele could grow, but because of where they're living, some people may not be inclined to come there, right? And so maybe the 1 or 2 house calls that they may get. But the opportunity where the Eastport has been development companies offering them an opportunity to grow their business in the way that they would like. So you're getting money and we're giving you space too out of perhaps New City Mall and maybe this other one, Eastside Plaza and so on, right? So they could set up a business and make some money. Instead, you know what you want? You prefer $500 a month to make child, a food card, and a CPEP work. That is how Kamala plans to help them. We don't want what Rowley offering. We don't want what Eastport has been development company offering. We don't want that. No. Just put the money in their hand. Let them sit down home whole day and watch whatever they watch, and they're on their phone and they're going through social media and TikTok and they're watching TikTok videos whole day and just waiting for the end of the month when the money, the card will get loaded up, if it's the food card or the $500 baby grant. That is what you have, and talking nonsense about nothing and then giving nothing for the youth. But that's your party. That's your party. And you that could use your platform for the greater good, to benefit the same young people that you claim you care about. Instead, you're using it what? To malign the party. And the youth still roaming when you could be helping them. You could be helping them because you know this minister and you know that minister. Make a call, send a WhatsApp message. Well, wherever is your motivation, you continue. So I came across another TikTok. Yeah, just have plenty of them. Let me get this one here. Where is it? If you are now seeing that one, I haven't had a chance to listen to it, so I can't do nothing. I just want to play a little bit of this.
See for the look.
Pleasant Good Day, Trinidad and Tobago. Now, in my last video, I said I was coming back for all the UNC. All the UNC people who have short-term memory, right? Now, I am really tired, and I tell all you, don't chuck me, because I'll come for you. Now, I am tired of hearing people say they want back Kamala, they want back the UNC. But let me juggle all your mind a little bit. And this video might be in 2 or 3 parts, right? I want to juggle all your mind because like all you're forgetting, all you just forget, all you have short-term memory. Now, all you're forgetting when the UNC left office, right? They left the treasury empty. All you didn't know that, right? All you forget that. Forgetting that it have pensioners here to give a pension to. Although they say they raised the pension, right? But they left the treasury empty. And I want to juggle all your mind a little bit, right? That when they left, when the UNC left, they left a lot of people in Central, and the people, millionaires and billionaires overnight. Now, I want to highlight something. All you forget, Kamala used to use a helicopter to go to work because she didn't want to stay in the Prime Minister's residence. All you know how much a helicopter used to cost in gas bill? $7 million in gas. All you remember the 549 million EMBD scandal? All you forget that? All you're forgetting at 6.5 million for Junior Sammy to move a $2 million fire truck that overturned somewhere up Toko. All you forget that? Are reminding all your juggling all your brains a little bit, right? Because like all you don't understand, all you forgetting what had happened, all you forgetting $130 million upgrade for recreation ground in Pina. All you remember that? All you remember a $30 million cost to build a single unit school in Debe? Yeah, Kamala should come back. Kamala should come back in power. Or they should bring she back. Keep Kamala right where she is. I want Kamala remain right there. Right? I want Kamala remain right there because up to now she answered these questions. Right? With all these little, I can't say little, all these big spending and missing of money. All you forget the 1.4 billion in legal fees for UNC former AG office for the.
So this is one of about 3 parts. Why did I play that? Yes, because she's reminding persons of some of the transgressions that took place between 2010 to 2015. But this lady, I remember a few months ago, I told you I came across a TikTok video with a lady who, she seemed to be, when you look at her, okay, if you see her, she looks well put together. She looks like somebody who has a decent job and whatnot and stuff and things. And like the first time I saw her was in that TikTok video where she cussed out the government and cussed out Dr. Rowley. That was around the time when Dr. Rowley announced that they would be making the change to the coat of arms. And there was a lot of people doing lives and so on Facebook and TikTok and whatnot, cussing out the government and always a waste of money and all the money that they had to spend to replace passport and birth certificate and official documents and the currency and all them kind of thing. The conspiracy theorists came out early. And I saw the video and I told you all I can't play it. I was so incensed when I saw it and I said I can't play it because there's too much cussing. She talked about the property tax. She not paying no property tax because she spent her money and work hard and pay mortgage and build her house, and now the government want to charge her for things that she paid for and they didn't contribute to building her house and so on, and she ain't paying no so and so property tax and they got to lock up and all of that, and how much more they go bend over and take. And she went to town on the government. And the UNC loved her for that. They were sharing all her videos and she was jamming the Minister of Finance and so on. They loved that. You see how much views she getting and likes. She getting thousands of likes and shares when she was jamming the government. But now, I don't know what happened because I haven't had chance to go through all of her videos. But I saw one recently where with Dr. Rowley's announcement that he would be stepping down as Prime Minister and leader of the PNM eventually, she changed her tune and she said, no, the Prime Minister indicated he has confirmed that he would be stepping down and he's leaving. And she would have told them, she would have made mention of that a couple months ago and people were saying she knows what she's talking about and all of that. And, she wants to wish the Prime Minister well and she wants to thank him for his 45 years of service. And she 45 years of service, part of which he had to deal with ungrateful people like us and so on who do appreciate the things that you're doing for the country. And I said, but wait, this is the same woman? I need to check. Yes, the same person. Praising the Prime Minister. Well, boy, UNC and them take a turn in she backside. All of them, because they know what they are accustomed getting from her, the content they are accustomed getting jamming the government. And now, an about turn. So with all the jamming they're giving her for praising Dr. Rowley now and commending, the changes to her young and whatnot, she decided to respond. And she made she committed the cardinal sin that you could commit against the UNC, which is to ill speak or speak against the queen, the goddess, the Maharani. Who tells she do that? That's why she doing this now, to remind it, because the UNC people jamming her left, right, and center. That is the difference between the PNM and the UNC. When she was bad talking the PNM and cussing out Dr. Rowley and members of the government, PNM people seeing it, you go ahead. This is a free country, freedom of speech. You could say what you want. Go ahead, no problem with that. Water off our ducks back. We listen, we laugh, whatever it is, and then we move on. The UNC, you talk about their leader, you get a different response. And she is now learning. Same thing with Gary Aboud. When he was bad talking the government and bad talking Dr. Rowley, when he went down to West Park, when the Diego Martin interchange was under construction, and the Chinese put up their admin building there, right? The site office, and it was looking as if it is, but it was a prefab building that they could simply take down when they finish. And he went down there and did a live in front of the building complaining, oh, the government give away the West Park land to the Chinese and stuff, and look the building here and all of that. And they give away the land, the pitch lake to the Chinese, and he put up a post, a newspaper article from 2013 referencing where the UNC People's Partnership would have engaged in some 3-year deal with the Chinese to purchase asphalt from Lake Asphalt and so on. You're claiming this government sell the pitch lake, but you bring up an article from 2013 talking about something that the UNC did. He did all of that, make all kind of claims. And then subsequent to that, several videos that he did, again, but jamming the government. PNM people never come out and call for a boycott of his business. You free to talk, brother. You do what you want. You're not influencing us, so you could say what you want, do what you want, jam the government. You're not the only one, right? Water off our ducks back. But the minute he make the mistake to commit the cardinal sin, to ill speak Passad Bisessa, and to talk about he will come together with anybody to remove the UNC. Well, boy, he facing the wrath of the UNC supporters. All who call him to boycott the business, and then they're not spending the money by he, and he's a 1% dog, all kind of thing they call him. And he too is now seeing the difference between PNM supporters and the UNC supporters. You could bad talk our party all you want, you could bad talk the leader. We're not offended. We take no offense to that. We pay you no mind. You go ahead and continue, because eventually you're going to hush and move on to something. The UNC, different. Plenty of them learning that now. So when they start to get licks from the UNC supporters, and they realize that the PNM supporters we are of a different ilk. And we are above that. All of a sudden, now we're running back. You're running back, and anyway, but better late than never, because I see this video that I just played for you there. She got about almost 600 shares, which is good. Right? So other persons are seeing it and are being reminded, even if that was not the genuine intention. And she was doing it really to remind the UNC supporters who sharing blows, right? And who jamming her now. But we'll take that. Any help that we could get, we will take it. Right? We go in with that. So let me give you, I told you all about crave indulgence. Let me play a little something for you. What I consider to be a man running scared. The title of this, so you know, is Anil Roberts are talking about, right? Yes. So he put out a post 9 hours ago. And the caption is, are we suffering from DPS? What is DPS? Dotish Population Syndrome. Now, why would Anil Roberts call the population dotish? Why, Anil? Just so? Why do you think the population is dotish? Now, they love to say, Rowley say the people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. Prime Minister never said that, you know. The Prime Minister said the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago thinks the people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. But a certain former program manager on a certain radio station where I used to work once upon a time decided to use his editing skills and cut the Prime Minister's speech and edit it to make it seem as if that is what the Prime Minister said. Right? He did the same thing with Faris Al-Rawi with a certain speech Faris made, and Faris wasn't having it. Right? And when legal letter, pre-action protocol letter come, my boy looking to beg Google and beg Sharon, oh, go talk to Faris, sorry, I didn't mean that thing, and whatever it is. That's the only reason why he didn't end up at the side of the road. Because the same people say the backside. But even up to today, and you see how propaganda lasts, because even up to today, the supporters of that party keep saying, and Rowley say the people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. Never say that. Never said that. Right? But he coming now to talk about we suffering from dotish population syndrome. All right. Listen to it.
You all have lowered the standards for the Prime Minister, for the office of the Prime Minister, so low that some of you are actually considering that Stuart Young could be Prime Minister. Because Rowley dropped the bar so low. Rowley dropped the bar in character, in manhood, in husband, in family man, in honesty, in integrity, in morality, in concoction, in pure lies, in performance. Rowley dropped the bar so low that some of you all actually think that another miscreant, another immoral, amoral, idiotic, incompetent, buffoon like Stuart Smallton, Zamian, failure across the board, arrogant elitist could actually be prime minister. We are suffering. You know, sometimes women, when they're in a relationship and their husband or their loved one turns out to be a monster and a beast, we sometimes wonder why you don't just leave that man. But it is something that's very serious called battered wife syndrome. We as a population are suffering from dotish population syndrome because Rowley has said some of the most dotish things, and somehow, some way, the media, the population, the intellectuals allow him to get away with it.
Poor soul. You realize that your racist propaganda not working, trying to gaslight people of African descent to tell them don't vote for the PNM because the PNM is supposed to be an African party and they put a Chinese man. Or that the PNM is supposed to be an African party, but look who Rowley put into act as prime minister, or look who Rowley given some of the best ministries to, and it's not persons of African descent. You're vexed because that not working, and you're reading the comments on social media, on Facebook and other places, and seeing people saying, well, we could give Siot Young a chance. Or they're chastising the UNC because they're saying, well, look, the PNM has broken the mold. Because all the time, all they're saying PNM people is only vote based on race. But now, this move by Dr. Rowley has basically nullified that the race card. So if in a few months' time when the general election is held and the PNM wins, what's all they will say? You can't say the PNM people vote race. Which race they vote for? Stuart Young is half Chinese and half East Indian. So which race did they vote for? So they take away that from all them. Poor souls. So now you come to buff up the citizens to tell them, well, they're suffering from dotish population syndrome. What is that? Never heard of that before, but okay, it's an interesting concept. In other words, you tell all of you all in the UNC who have found yourselves in a situation now where you hated Rowley, but you ain't so much hate the PA. It's just Rowley you hated and not Rowley gone. And Rowley has shown that contrary to what the popular belief or narrative is, that politicians will always hold on to power. Right? Not only is he not contesting, but he's also giving up prime ministerial power early, unheard of in this country, willingly. Willingly. He didn't lose an election, but he looking to step down. And now they're doing comparisons and saying, you feel Kamala could ever do that? You feel you could ever get anybody of a different race other than of the East Indian race to lead the UNC? And comparatives are being made. And they're reading the comments because that is how they gauge their popularity and their chances at the polls based on what they're reading on the comments on social media. So like my boy now, he can't believe what it is he reading. Can't believe it. People willing to say, well, all right, well, let me give Stuart Young a chance. Same thing people said in 2010, let's give Kamala a chance. So now he vexed. And he felt he needed to come out and do this video to scold all of you all who talking about all they want to get Stuart Young a chance. What the hell wrong with all this? Suffering from dotish population syndrome. You're dotish. You're dumb. Not me say so, eh? He says so. You just heard him say that. And then talking about, some women in a relationship and you're married and you're suffering from battered wife syndrome. I wonder if that's what Chandel suffered from, which is why they're no longer married. I wonder if that is what his first wife suffered from, which is why they're no longer married. I wonder if that is what one of his recent girlfriends suffered from, which is why the relationship ended. Because the woman that, from what I understand, the woman that we saw him with at in some fete or whatever it is, he with a different one now. Right? So he changing woman like he changing underwear. But why is it so that you can't keep a woman? If you're such a great guy, and Stuart Young is immoral and whatnot and all of these different things, how come you changing woman so? What is it with the two women that you were with in room 201? What were they to you? since you're such an upstanding guy, a role model for men everywhere of what it is to be a domestic partner or a husband, and all these women leaving you? I just ask it. I'm pretty sure. But they say, what's your body count? Pretty sure Stuart's body count nowhere close to yours. I could never understand what any woman could see in you to put herself at you, but hey, some people just have low standards, as you mentioned just now. Drop the bar real low to put herself with you, a rum cock like you, a man who on Carnival Monday or Tuesday around the savannah and you don't even know your own self. A woman, Anel. It took about 3 or 4 calls of your name before he recognizes and realizes you are married. Hey, look that woman calling her, boy. Oh, it's me. Oh, I'm Anel. Okay, sorry. Yeah. How you going? Yeah. As we say in local parlance, you're pistoratically drunk. I'm pretty sure that wasn't the first time you were in that condition and probably wouldn't be the last. Right? But you want to talk about battered wife syndrome and people wondering why the woman don't leave? How many times? You probably was wondering the same thing with how many women in your life. So I just say, how many? What's your body count, Anil? Imagine you leave your wife after you left office, give the woman the vehicle, and then when she tried to sell it, only to be told she can't sell it because you're still owing the parliament fee. Embarrassment thing. I ain't just talking that, right? I ain't just talking that. Her family told me that. Family who attempted to assist her in selling the vehicle because he left her high and dry. And she needed to sell the vehicle to get some money. Well, they can't sell the vehicle. Because your ex still owing on the vehicle. And unless and until that debt is cleared, yeah, just say it. But that is what they want to put into office. Yeah, so it seems like they're running scared now. They were so confident before, and all of a sudden now they realize the floating voter, the voter on the fence, willing to give Stuart Young a chance. And he hasn't even served one day as the substantive prime minister as yet. All he simply said, watch Team PNM in action. So if before he takes office as prime minister, people willing to give a chance, and you're seeing people now, there's still some of them who need to come around and to, as I say, warm up to the idea. But we're seeing that. And then now with Amory Brown throwing his hat in the ring to replace Dr. Oli as the member of parliament for Diego Martin West, that too is causing them some disquiet and some concern. Because they look at the team that is now coming together. People who have substance, people with integrity, people that could be looked up to, people say, yeah, he is a good one, she is a good one. And the people who are saying this is not just PNM supporters saying that, it's non-aligned people. And persons from other parties who saying, yeah, I like Amory Brown, he's a good one. I find he should have been the leader, But he's not the leader, but I could still work with him. Look at the UNC lineup. That anybody they could point to and say, yeah, I could look up to. Yeah, that's a good pick. Winstridge? Okay. Right? The retired principal who went up against Paris in San Fernando West. See, Cabal put out some things there about that individual. David Lee? Ravi Ratiram? Arnold Ram? That's the choices, boy. So let us look at the PNM lineup versus the UNC lineup. Wow, boy. I'm not seeing anybody expressing confidence in any of the 8 candidates that the UNC has named so far. The UNC is 8 to the PNM 33. Well, it was 34, and then unfortunately Lisa Morris Julian passed away. Right? So they name 8. PNM has named 33. They still have 33 to name, and the PNM still have 8 to name. Yeah? Look at that. They can't even run an election campaign properly. They can't even conduct a proper screening exercise. Having open nominations since January last year and closed nominations since April. And here we are in January of 2025, and they named 8 candidates so far. PNM started calling for nominations in October, and 33 persons have already been selected. All right? 33. That's when you have a party in order, who knows how to run an election and who knows how to campaign. Although I find they're a little behind with respect to, the meetings and so on. But We'll see how that goes. But the UNC so focused on meeting and pushing propaganda. And maybe they're struggling to get candidates of stature. That's probably the issue, you know. Because you can't tell me how much weeks now you screen Khadija mean for St. Augustine and up to now you can't give her the nod. And Khadija who always up under Kamla. Wherever was the colloquial boy, wherever Kamla Khadija yes, morning to Michelle Benjamin. Right? She always up on now you're still in limbo. So you don't want to go out and start campaigning and next thing they hit you, Anil Roberts. You spend 2 years campaigning in St. Joseph because you tell yourself you're getting nod. Because after you submitted your documents and so on for nomination, you realize you are the only person who threw your hat in the ring for St. Joseph and you figure, well, hey, there's only one man there at the screen and that's me. And then they bring somebody from out of nowhere and replace you. Throw you on the garbage heap like a pair of old socks. Poor soul. And you're still there battling, hoping, right? 8 candidates selected. 8 to the PNM's 33. And the PNM probably going in the next couple of weeks going to look to wrap up that next 8 to get that aspect of the election campaign out of the way. On to the next one, and they will still be looking for candidates. As Rodney Charles said, nobody with integrity wants to associate with the UNC. And while you have Chamber of Commerce heads and these persons and business owners and professionals of all caliber coming forward and offering themselves to the PNM have a wide cadre to choose from of respectable people who name not calling up and no Kuchura and no Bacchanal. A wide range. So much so that when some of them, you see them rejected them, but that was a good person. The PNM has good people to choose from. UNC? That's why they hesitant. They're probably waiting on somebody of substance to come forward and say, all right, I will run for St. Augustine. So they could give Khadija the boot. But when you have to choose from the dregs, the bottom of the barrel, the lagoon, what are you going to do? Huh? You could only put those candidates in UNC safe seats. But you're struggling to get people of caliber for the main seats, which is the marginals. You can't get nobody proper to put in these seats because they don't want nothing to do with the UNC. If the PNM is so horrible and did such a terrible job over the last 9 years and some, why is it so difficult for the UNC to be the PNM? Why it is you have to be forming coalition and struggling to get proper candidates? It should be a cakewalk, a walk in the park to be the PNM. Rowley mash up the country, mash up the economy, everything he mash up. Look at the state of the country, crime out of control. Why is it so difficult to beat the PNM? It should be easy, the easiest task, but yet still so difficult. Because more and more people realize all your stupidness, folly and foolishness. Like this one. So big men fighting one another. There's Gary and Philip. Now Gary and Naked. Anil Roberts want to fight Gary, but I guess he and Gary are friends, so he can't do it directly. So he's sharing David Naked's live, bad talking Gary and threatening Gary and challenging Gary. Come outside, come up in Maracas, come up in Lavantil. Talk in Lavantil, you know? Gunman thing now. Senator. I'm going to give you just a little clip here. Where is it?
Try that. Come on by me in Maracas and play John Wick. Come on by me in Mongo and play John Wick, Guy Griffith. I'll go be there. Come on by me in Picton Lavantil and play John Wick.
Just imagine a UNC senator making veiled threats against another political leader, and a day later he still have to work. But this is what you get when you appoint a man who was arrested in the Middle East. I would have said it was a genuine mistake, but they recently announced a candidate who, when the police trying to put away gang leaders, he trying his best to free them.
And they're talking about Wayne Sturge there, right? Yeah, Wayne Sturge. That's why I keep saying, when these criminals who everybody complaining about, when they find themselves before the court, who they run into? No PNM lawyers. It's the UNC lawyers they run into. Jayanti, Ram Logan, Wayne Sturge, Gerald Ramdeen, these guys. Right? That's the favorite go-to lawyers. When you're charged with murder and you're charged with fraud, that's who they go into. Right? You're found with guns and so on and whatnot. Who they going to? UNC lawyers, no PNM lawyer. I just thought I would throw that into the mix there, right? And so, let me get him here. So much other things to talk about, but anyway. So let me just touch quickly on two other things. They had a pavement report, I think, 2 nights ago, and Munilal was the feature speaker because Kamla she not about her life. Yeah, 1 meeting a week. All they do ask me for more than that. Anything more than that is a stretch. You know, my stamina levels low. So when it is that, over the weekend, probably from Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I trying hard not to drink nothing so that I could be sober for Monday night because hangover. When you're 70-something years old, the hangover is take a little longer to go, right? So if I need to project strength, like I have stamina, the struggle has been going through over the weekend. You know, when somebody taking drugs and they're going through withdrawals, they'll be lying on the bed and they're sweating and they're trembling. Weekend, gosh, boy. Hurry up and call the election around. You see these constant meetings, I can't take it. Every weekend, if you see me lie down in bed, oh, the withdrawal, I need something. Let me just smell it. Greg, bring the punch in. Let me just smell it. I just need to smell it. Bring the Grey Goose. Let me smell it. Right. I'll get me through until Monday. So 1 meeting. So she didn't go to their pavement report. So they begin up, and if you hear them, we want to say good night to the political leader of the UNC who is viewing us online or whatever it is. Let's know. So let me see. Somebody's saying that they're not hearing me on Facebook. Is that so? Right. Yeah. So she didn't go to the meeting. So they began up and whatnot. And Munilal talking about Parliament, he posed that question to Stuart Young. And he wants the details of all Stuart Young's visits to Venezuela, who he talked to, who was in the meeting, how much money it cost, each trip cost, and all of that, and the like, right? And he came on his meeting the other night, Tuesday night, to talk about he get the information, but this is as far as because when you read some of the answers and so on, that is still hiding thing. And that for all the trips that Stuart Young took to Venezuela, it cost $1.2 million. And that's his big aha moment. $1.2 million for how many trips? And on each trip, he carry this person from national security, and he carry that person. But if you're going to talk about energy, why you have to carry this person from national security? The same attorney that I told you all about, who was the translator who works for the state and whatnot, he made mention. He didn't call her name. He said he don't want to call her name, but I was surprised. And that she went to, but he didn't really get into. But as I told you all, this is my very good friend, my colleague, who wasn't much of a fan of Stuart Young, but seeing him in action in Venezuela, she is now, she's now convinced, and she supports him wholeheartedly. Munla didn't call her name, as I said. But he's talking 1.2 million, and here this one trip, and he went from the 3rd to the 6th, or the 3rd to the 5th. That is what? One day. When you're staying in a hotel, say so many nights, because you don't be in the hotel in the day. The hotel don't charge you by the day. They charge you by how many nights you slept in the bed or where you didn't. You're paying per night. You understand? But when you're not that traveled, you probably wouldn't understand that. Or when you do travel, you're staying by your family and wherever because you're a cheap bastard. So you're not accustomed staying in hotels, and you don't know how it operates, right? And $40,000 is that thing. $60,000 for how many trips? To do what? Each one of those trips was intended to benefit Trinidad and Tobago, right? And I would think if these 9 trips or 10 trips or how many ever trips resulted in deals that could see Trinidad and Tobago reaping billions of dollars in energy revenue, I think $1.2 million is negligible, right? As opposed to the $15 million that was spent for the India trip, and nothing came out of that. As opposed to the how many millions was spent for the Chinese trip under Prasad Bisesa, nothing came out of that. The trip to Brazil didn't benefit us, it benefited her grandson. Right? And plenty of who supporting and talking about thing, and Kamala must come back. The only place what time will ever see Brazil was during the World Cup. Right? Or on National Geographic or something, they're talking about the Amazon or whatever. Yeah? But her grandson and your taxpayers' money get to fly on a jumbo jet plenty room for him to run up and down because Granny take a jumbo jet that could hold 200 and something people and carry 42 people, right? So he get a blind. He could boast about that for the rest of his life. He get to put on a Spider-Man costume and go to the World Cup. You had that benefit? No, but Munina ain't gonna talk about that. No, $1.2 million. Well, let's spend that amount of money to buy tickets to the South Cancer Fete, all-inclusive fete, when you all were in office. Take taxpayers' money to buy these. No, you use NGC money, which was taxpayers' money, to buy $1.2 million in tickets to give out to your friends. But you want to come now and talk about Stuart Young spending $1.2 million on trips to go to Venezuela to benefit the country? And only rejoicing. They see them posting up on their Facebook page, Kevin Ramnarine and the rest of them. Because yesterday, Marco Rubio, who is Trump's prospective Secretary of State, he had his confirmation hearing yesterday, and mention was made about Venezuela, and he said, he thinks that that the U.S. government should reconsider the license given to Chevron to operate in Venezuela, and the oil license, because I think Chevron has, in conjunction with the Venezuelan government, they have a number of gas stations in the U.S. and so on, right? And so Marco Rubio is very anti-Maduro. So I suppose Prime Minister Young is going to have an uphill task with respect to the Dragon issue. But we will see how that goes. Hopefully, Mr. Rubio, notwithstanding, would understand the significance of this gas deal to Trinidad and Tobago. And who knows, maybe they could work out something where, again, they may say, well, you can't pay in cash, but you could pay something else. I don't know. So we will see how that goes. But Kevin Ramnarine was happy to post up those stories on his Facebook page with the caption, "Interesting indeed." Right? Look at the kind of things that these people who want to come back into office, knowing the situation with our revenue position, knowing how important these gas deals that Stuart Young was instrumental in negotiating, how important these gas deals are to our economic well-being for the next few years. This man who was the Minister of Energy, this man who knows about all of these gas fields and who did precious little to promote. And I keep saying, if Kevin Ramnarine, when there were no sanctions, or there were very little sanctions against Venezuela, US sanctions, as compared to what exists today, where it's more difficult, right? The conditions that Stuart Young had to navigate in order to be able to secure those gas deals, far more difficult than what Kevin Ramnarine had. And I put it to you that if Kevin Ramnarine back in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, when Kamala was meeting with Maduro then, and the sanctions weren't as heavy, if he had done what Stuart Young had done, then we might have been reaping the rewards of Dragon since 2016 or 2017, years ago. And we wouldn't have a problem today for Forex. And we wouldn't have a problem today with certain downstream plants that are shuttered because they can't get the gas that they need. If he had done what Stuart Young had done, for all the criticisms that he has, had he done what Stuart Young has done 10 years ago, right? Not 10 years, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, because if Stuart Young was able to negotiate this thing where in 2022, you were able to negotiate a deal that could see gas coming on stream in 2027 in a 5-year span. If Kevin Ramnarine had done that in 2013, or he had done it in 2014, we would have been reaping Dragon gas since 2018, 2019, and then the government might have said, well, the revenues that we're getting from that, it can allow us to sustain the refinery. So we don't need to close the refinery. We don't want any refinery losing, but the government is making money from these gas deals that we are able to continue to prop up the refinery and maybe even spend some more money to upgrade the refinery. They could have done that. But what did Ramnarine do? What is his track record? None of his UNC supporters could tell you. All they talking, Stuart Young mash up the energy sector, and Stuart Young mash up the energy sector, and Stuart Young mash up the energy sector. How did he do that? Study that if your Maharani, your queen, had done what Keith Rowley had done, and if your minister or ministers, Carolyn C. Prasad Beecham and Kevin Ramnarine, had done what Stuart Young and Franklin Kahn had done with respect to these gas deals, we'd be in a much better position today. But take note that in an election year, these people are happy to publish and promote negative stories that hint or suggest that the Dragon gas deal may end up being stalled for another 4 years until Trump administration leaves. And then we don't know to have to restart those negotiations now in 2028, 2029, which means, and then now to get these energy companies, Shell and BP and whoever, to make a final investment decision, which normally takes another year or two. So we're looking at, if the US administration is not amenable to listening to logic and reason, we might see we had to wait until about 2032, 2033, an additional 6 years, right? Through no fault of Stuart Young's. But these people want to come back in office. Did they tell you where they're going to get the revenue from? Because whether it's PNM in power or UNC in power, the fact of the matter is we need the Dragon gas, we need the Loran gas, we need the Coquina Mannequin gas, and the other gases, we need all of that. Because remember, all of this gas that PDVSA is flaring every day. They're flaring more gas than we produce, and we need that. They literally sending billions of dollars up in the air every day because they don't have the infrastructure in place to monetize that. We do. We need it. We need it. It doesn't matter if you're supporting UNC, PNM, NTA, whoever. We need it. We need the money. We need the US dollars. And take note that these people who are telling you put them back in office are only happy to see the Dragon gas go down the drain. And only too happy, right, to see the Loran deal go down the drain. Happy to see that because they figure that that is going to damage the PNM and give them the opportunity to come back into office. And then where's the revenue going to come from? They're promising to cut corporation tax. So all of the non-energy sector, which is right now carrying the state, from these taxes, they come in to cut it. So where the revenue coming from? This is the questions the media should be asking Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. How do you plan to generate revenue? You're going to diversify the economy, so that's something you could do overnight? We know what you did last time. You borrowed and you borrowed, you put the exchequer account into permanent overdraft, you raid the NGC. What you're going to do now? You sold state assets, you sold shares in FCB and wherever else. How are you going to generate the income this time? If you're going to cut corporation tax, which is one of the major energy earners for the state, how are you going to do that? The government will get money from what? FULs? And I'm telling people, when you go to the polls, these are the things you need to consider and think about. Who has the country's best interest at heart? That when they could criticize and focus on how much money Stuart Young was spent for Stuart Young to go to Venezuela to negotiate something to benefit the country in a meaningful way, to increase revenue. And Munilal would choose to focus on that rather than the outcomes of these trips. Rather than the outcomes of these trips, he want to create couture and bacchanal. Who he talked to? He talked to Maduro? He talked to Delcy? That is what he wants to do, but wouldn't come and say, well, as a result of this trip, we got a 20-year license for, is it Manatee? And then we get a 30-year license for Dragon and so on. And if these things could come into fruition, well, Manatee will. Dragon is now question mark because that is Venezuela gas, right? But focus on that, on the good that came out of it. But you want to talk about $1.2 million of taxpayers' money spent when Kamala spent more than that for her sister. More money than that on her sister to travel all over the world playing nurse, to help her to make sure she take her medication on time and to help her to hook up her bra strap. Of course, you taxpayer, what did we benefit from Vidwati traveling all over the world and joyriding and going to places some of you all will never see except on TV and on the internet? How did we benefit from that? In fact, he was the one who was tasked with the responsibility when they were in office and the question was asked by the PNM as to how much money was spent on Kamala's sister. He was the one who had to give the answer, right? He was the one who had to give the answer. And just remember, the money that Kamala spent on one jumbo jet to go to South Africa, to go to China, to go to Australia, to go to Brazil, to go to India, all of these occasions, the money that was spent for one jumbo jet is more than what Stuart Young spent on all of those trips combined, and we benefited more than all those trips that Kamala took. Anybody could tell me how we benefited from any of those trips? Or it's just she had bucket lists. I've always wanted to go to Australia, so tick. Always wanted to go to South Africa, tick. Tick. That's all they're doing. And all the helicopter rides. Helicopter rides alone is plenty more. How did we benefit from that? But that is what he wants to focus on. And he wants to come back in office as Prime Minister. Lord Father. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord.
I don't know who's gonna kiss you when I'm gone. So I'm gonna love you now. Like it's so.
So one second, I'm seeing here. Before I take this call, Dr. Ali came and announced that it was Amory Brown who is responsible for the complicated international deals for Dragon Gas. Dr. Ali said it was he and Amory Brown. Not today, no. Not today. If you want to continue to fight on Siochong, that is your prerogative, sir. Not today, right? Because at the end of the day, Rudal Munilal isn't asking how much money Amory Brown was spent on Amory Brown. He's not asking how much money was spent on Franklin Khan to travel, right? And the same Dr. Rowley you're talking about who came out and said Amory Brown did this and is the same Dr. Rowley who gave credit to Stuart Young, to quote Dr. Rowley, shuttle work. The critical shuttle work that Stuart Young was doing between Port of Spain, Washington, D.C., and Caracas. And that is of more recent vintage. Keith Rowley did that. He said that. The shuttle work that Stuart Young was doing, that is why he called Stuart Young his Gary Sobers. I never hear Dr. Rowley refer to Amory Brown as his Gary Sobers. I never heard him refer to Franklin Khan as his Gary Sobers. Right? He referred to Stuart Young in that way. Why did he do that? What did Stuart Young do to deserve or to earn that accolade? Get to. Got that. What did he do? So when you want to come again this morning to talk about what you never heard Dr. Rowley thank Stuart Young for the Dragon Gas deal, you heard him. Oh, so you didn't hear when Dr. Rowley, you see, because you have convenient hearing. What I just told you. All right, and I will try to find the press conference where Dr. Rowley spoke about that. The shuttle work that Stuart, his words, shuttle work that Stuart Young did between Port of Spain, Washington, D.C., and Caracas. And I will find it for you when it is that Nicolas Maduro, when they had signed the 30-year gas deal, the 30-year license for the Dragon, Maduro immediately went onto his Twitter profile and posted that. He went on his Instagram profile and Maduro praised Stuart Young, right? For the work that he did in negotiating this deal. I never see Maduro thank Amory Brown. Nothing wrong with Amory. He's a good guy. I never heard him thank Franklin Khan. He didn't mention Dr. Roy. He mentioned who? Stuart Young. Who else he mentioned? Stuart Young. Okay? So, boy. Well, all right, get to here what to do. Take Stuart Young out of the equation. Take him out of the equation. So what he didn't benefit at all. So my friend who was there, who I told you about the attorney who was the interpreter who went and she told us about how impressed she was with Stuart Young's negotiating skills. You hear what? Negotiating skills. So negotiations were still going on when Stuart Young went there. Right? And he's now made her a believer. Right? She is firsthand. She was in the room. When he was sitting down with whoever, she was in the room. So she know better than anything you could say, she could say that. She has empirical evidence. She saw with her own eyes and heard with her own ears, and she spoke. She translated Stuart Young's words. So if you want to challenge her, no problem. You go right ahead. You're free to do that. Let me get this here. Mr. Yates.
Thank you very much.
Morning, sir.
So it has been trotted out by the UNC for years that Dr. Rowley is a dictator.
Yes.
He's a dictator. It's the worst thing that ever befell the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And it's because he's blackest. It's because he's the blackest prime minister we ever had. So he's a dictator. I'm coming straight to the heart of the matter. He's a dictator. Penelope Beckles challenged his leadership in 2014. She lost, but she challenged him openly, more than what Stuart Young did a few weeks ago. He was more recommended by Dr. Rowley than actually coming out and challenging him openly. But the point I'm making is this. So Dr. Rowley is a dictator? Okay. So he beat Penny in that internal election. 2014. What happened after that? What happened after that? When PNM won the election in 2015, Dr. Rowley gave her a senior diplomatic posting to the United States as a permanent representative to the UN. He gave her a senior diplomatic job in the United States. That is the dictator they're talking about, eh? That is dictator for you. You challenge me, and after that, I give you a nice big job in the United States, representing Trinidad and Tobago. That is the dictator. That is the dictator. You can see Eric Williams doing that. You can see Robinson doing that. You can see Manning doing that. This is a first in Trinidad and Tobago's history, where somebody who challenged the leadership end up in a plumb position, given to that person by the same person who she challenged, Dr. Rowley. So he's a dictator. Come 2020, he brought her back to Trinidad and put her to fight the Arima seat, which she won handsomely. That is the dictator for you. And brought her into his cabinet, put her in housing, and then after that, gave her a more prestigious position, which he now holds, Minister of Planning and Development. That is a dictator. That is the behavior and the actions of a dictator. That is Dr. Rowley. Keep Rowley the dictator. You attack me, you challenge me, I'm rewarding you for challenging me. No, that is Keith Rowley the dictator. And this thing about about a week ago, I told you a few days ago about the 2 letters by Gordon Loughlin and one by Anna Goldison. But there's another one, there's another one, I shared it with a friend. A letter by one Taras Ramuta, who's from the Caparo area. This is a long-standing member of the UNC. I think he used to be a counselor in that area. And he wrote a letter, and I read it, and I kept it, where he said, among other things, never attack Stuart Young, eh? You know what he said? Instead, you know what he said? I hope that the new Prime Minister designate, is able to bring all the ethnicities of the country together. Do you know why he said so? He sees in Stuart Young the visuals. He sees in Stuart Young a representative of the 2 major races in Trinidad and Tobago, Africans and Indians, because that is his racial composition. And then also looking at him, he knows that the different ethnicities, the Chinese, the whites, the half-whites, and so on, will be drawn to him. And that is a pattern, with due respect, which Penelope Beckles will never be able to attract. Because she's weak on a platform, she cannot handle herself, she cannot deliver herself with strength and conviction. She's very, very weak. And the people that Stuart Young is able to attract, Penelope Beckles will never be able to attract. I say never. Never be able to attract. So that this broadside on Stuart Young from the UNC, it is driven by nothing but fear and terror, because they know what Stuart Young represents. He could achieve something that the UNC has never been able to achieve and will never be able to achieve. A blending of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That is Paras Ramuta. Now, this talk, Mr. Rome, about Eric Williams never envisaged the likes of a Stuart Young to lead the PNM, and to be Prime Minister of this country. Who says so? If people would do a little reading and some background checks, they would be able to come up with a perfect analysis of the first Prime Minister in terms of his liaisons, his connections, his relationships. I have before me a book called The Elusive Eric Williams. I didn't need that book to tell me what I already knew, but it just fortifies what I always knew. I wonder if the people in the UNC and the Ghetto Gonda and all these people, I wonder if they know. Since they say that Dr. Williams didn't envisage somebody like Stuart Young to lead the PNM and be the next prime minister under PNM government, I wonder if they know, for example, that Eric Williams was married 3 times. 3 times, eh? And not one of those women who he married, not one of those women was an African woman. The first one, Elsa Ribeiro, what we call in Trinidad, a big high color reggae man. This is not an African woman by any means. Look at her, and what you see now is a closer approximation to white than African. Eric Williams' second wife was Erica Williams' mother, a Chinese woman, a local Chinese woman called Sulin, Suelin. That's Erica's mother. Erica didn't know her because she died in Antigua as a young woman in her 30s. Erica didn't know her. It's a Chinese woman. Eh? The third one was a dentist who practiced on Frederick Street, a Chinese woman, Dr. Maylene Moksang. I know exactly where it was because I went to her already in the late 70s to do some dental work. I know Maylene Moksang. So the point people like Roberts and those people making, and these mischief makers in the UNC, but Eric Williams didn't envisage somebody like Stuart Young. 2 of Eric Williams' wives had the blood of Stuart Young in them. So to tell me any dotishness about Eric Williams never wanted fair-skinned people like Stuart. Look at a picture of Dr. Williams' first cabinet. A friend sent it to me, but I already knew. I've seen the faces already. Of that whole cabinet, at best, is probably about 5% of that composition of Eric's first cabinet that you could actually look and say Eric Williams had a black people cabinet. Look and see. Get the picture, pull it up. Look and see. A perfect representation of Trinidad and Tobago. The only pure African person I saw there was John Dee's father, John Donaldson Sr. You understand? So what they're talking about envisage. Eric Williams was never married to an African woman. His desire was to empower all the people of this country and give poor people children, many of whom would have been African children, a chance to see the doors of a secondary school. But to say that Eric Williams never thought of somebody like Stuart Young becoming prime minister, really? The evidence points to otherwise. Okay? And by the way, Twiggy, I don't really get into any talk with ignorance, but I want you to know when you're talking about naked, naked is just patronizing you. He's just patronizing you, making you feel that he loves you. But little do you know, Madam Twiggy, that naked has nothing but hate and contempt for you as a poor, dispossessed black woman living behind the bridge. Because he sees himself as a white man to you. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by dotishness, woman. Right? And the same goes for one Anil Roberts. When you as a black man could stand up, make your life, and stand up on platforms and say the stinkiest things about Dr. Rowley, I want you to know something. This is Trinidad. We understand Trinidad. We understand the sociology of this country. And Anil Roberts, I want to tell you something today. I will tell you something. If people listen carefully to you, they will notice that plenty times on a UNC platform, it's almost as if it's an exercise in self-convincing. You know what you always say? Look at me. I is a Douglas. I is a Douglas. The Douglas politics. I have all the two races in the. And Robert, you are a damn fool. Little do you know that this boast about being a Douglas would attract more hatred for you from the Indians than just leaving yourself alone and not talking about your racial background. As a Douglas, they would hate you more inside there. And it is very visible. They would hate you more. Why the hell, Anna Roberts? Why do you think they move Anita Haynes? Explain that. And she looked more Douglas than you. Why do you think they move Anita Haynes? Because she doesn't represent the face of the Hindu Karoni UNC. That's why they move her and they put the pure Indian Kurt Megu. That is why they did what they did. That's why they did what they did. So, the things, just to close, the things that you, Nate, and Roberts would go on a platform and say about Dr. Rowley. You know, except for one person, Devan Maharaj, I have never read anything, heard anything, or seen anything from any Indian person in Trinidad who has been licked up by Pandey in his time and Bissessa in her time, who would come out in public and make the nastiest references to an Indian person, a former Indian leader. But it takes people like you, Anna Roberts, and people like you, David Naki, to sully the name of Black people in Trinidad and Tobago. I've said enough. I've taken up enough of your time. Thanks for the opportunity. I just thought that, you know, we should clear up a few things. And just as I close, I want to say one more thing, just one little thing. When we're talking about Eric Williams didn't envisage this and didn't envisage that, I wanted to know that Eric Williams' mother was a Bossier, Eliza Bossier. She looked very Douglas. But she is a descendant of a planter family, after whom the village Bossier in Maraval was named. That was a plantation in the early years. And Eliza Williams is a descendant of that family. So and her son is Eric Williams. So when you're talking about what Eric Williams envisaged and what Eric Williams didn't bargain for and what he didn't want, go back and check your history files and you will understand exactly why I have told you what I have told you. Thanks, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, sir. So, let me get this here. So, 1 second, hold on, let me just get this. Let's see if I get this here. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Listen, interesting from Mr. Hayes.
Yes.
That more people should be aware of. And this is what the fact he gave out there with respect to Dr. Williams' marriages. It was information that was often shared by Roger Ballard Joseph when he had his program on 995, I think. And the reason why Dr. Williams had a predilection for men of Asian descent, which was a running joke that Joseph gave from time to time on his program. You know, for all the people who have problems with the ascension of Mr. Young, right? They should ask the people of the UNC two questions. Whether a person of African descent who is a Christian could be the leader of the UNC, and also an East Indian who is not a Hindu. Like somebody who is a Presbyterian or an Anglican or a Roman Catholic. And once they could answer that question in the affirmative, they are all right to criticize the ascension of Mr. Young. But I know that the response would be a negative one. No, none of the kind election or any sort of election. You know, I came across some interesting videos there on YouTube, Mr. Romina. You just look at it and other people who do research for the program.
Mm-hmm.
I know, you know what those videos were? Those videos were the TT News back 40 years ago, the year in review. And you know, the economic fact on those videos were like eye-opening to me. Because one of the biggest revelations in one of those videos was that in 1985, the loss sustained by Cali 1975 Limited was $1 billion. This is the year before 33-3. So all those who look back learning and claim about, well, it was a success, right? In fact, in the insert, which was narrated by one of the best representatives at the time, who had not greatly, Gideon Hanuman Singh, it was said that the company was looking to diversify its effort into things like citrus and marketing the Buffalo and so on. You know, in fact, in 1985, the biggest growth in employment was in the agricultural sector, Mr. Romain. The agricultural sector, that was the biggest gain in employment. In 1985, the only state company that turned a profit was Telco Popes. I think the profit was 24 million TT then, right? BWI suffered a loss of something like about 16 point something million back then in 1985. Boy, listen, those videos were like gold to me yesterday. So, for research purposes, I hope that you could get a chance to find them and look at it. I was like, wow, this is golden, boy. This is golden. You understand? And, you know, I just want to say that for the trolls that you identify who claim this scam, I'm not worried about. Because of the fact that there's clearly people who singing for the supper and wouldn't factor into all that you and others have shared here over the years since we've been engaging in factors. Over the 9 years, you spoke about the people who under the tax net, who out of the tax dragnet. You spoke about all the opportunities that is there, and this is from like Netco, and so I don't hear them. The fact that when you go to any public health institution, you don't have to pay for anything. You can go and lie down and bed for however long, and you will get treated for free. So I would just leave them there and say, I hope that they do not get what they want. But it is interesting, right? For me, having watched the UNC over the time, sir, it is clear that their question time to ministers is just about buffoonery and wasting the time and challenging this strategy up and bring them to heel. They're not about bringing any clear information and asking probing questions for the edification of the national population. In fact, I would say that you get more education from looking at the viewings of the joint select committees when they come up. Right? More probing questions come from the members of those committees, and you get more fulsome answers from the people who appear before them that any question any MP ask and so on. I just wanted to address one more thing before I go, in terms of the Prime Minister's utterance in the debate about police stations. I want to tell you, right, from my experience, and it's something that most interviewers do not ask personnel when they have them. Even Mr. Dixon and others when they interview them and so on. And it's simply this, Dominic. As fast as you recruit police officers, in fact, Friday coming tomorrow, there will be a passing out parade of 104. That's batch 1 of 2024, which would have been people who would have come in under the house plan that the government said they budgeted for, and the finance minister told us about in the 2023-2024 budget, right?
Yep.
As much as you're bringing into the service, whether it's regular police officers or special reserves, Dominic, the attrition rate outstrips the recruitment rate all the time. And this is what people do not take into consideration. So a batch of 114 is coming in, yes, but these are inexperienced officers. At the same time, about 250 to 300 officers retire across all ranks every year. And this is the problem. The recruitment drive has never kept pace with the attritional, either it's mandatory or optional or resignation or medically unfit in the police service. And this is the problem that we have never seemed to be able to get on top with. Coupled with the fact that you raise the standards and you're bringing things like the polygraph and psychometric testing and things, which are not wrong, but I will say this, right? With respect to the polygraph testing and drug testing and so on, a great deal of people fail the psychometric and the polygraph test and drug testing, which is real. This has increased exponentially since marijuana use was decriminalized. A lot of young people who look like me and you, Dominic, who will be qualified, are chronic marijuana users. And because of the fact that the length of time marijuana takes to work through your system, which is about 1 to 2 weeks, they will always fail a job. Similarly, they will fail a psychometric test as well because of what marijuana does to your brain, especially the strains that we have now. Right? And in terms of the polygraph, I always said even in my time that the U.S. Supreme Court has said that the polygraph is not an accurate test to show honesty or dishonesty. The U.S. Supreme Court said that that's a U.S. Supreme Court decision. Yet we here want to use that to get people to be police officers. And I will leave and say that you will not get a perfect person, be a police officer in any area of national security from an imperfect society. We have to understand. With respect to the layout of police stations and things, my brother, I would say this. The end users of all the modern police stations we have constructed over the last 25 years are never the ones who have any input into design and the location of police stations. Government would make a policy decision, they would go and say, hey, Unicott or whatever, you want a police station here in this constituency, and they would put the police station there. But the people who have to use it, the end users, can't have any input into how it is constructed. And I would say that until you have that, you would be in the problem that. And also, no police station has bulletproof glass. I can tell that with none of them. Because the cost of bulletproof glass is prohibitive. And when they hear the cost to install it, and to think, one time they will say no. We're not using that. Right? And I want to leave you by saying, if you go, have you in your travels to Broward County and so on, to Miami, have you ever gone to a police station to transact any business, Dominic?
No.
Right. The next time you go, just go inside and visit one and see how you interface with them and you'll come back. You know how you interface with stations across there? You go and press an intercom button to announce who you are and what you come for. And if 10 person will come out who will interface with you, and then they will take in information and they will direct you to the relevant officer who will contact you and then make your report. They will actually come home by you or send a cruiser home by you to get your report. So we have a concept that they have a right to go in a police station. But in the places that we look at and say, hey, look how they do things, they have done away with interfacing with the public in that way. And their stations are very secure in terms of being able to just overtake them or run into them. More so after the events of September 11, 2001. So I just put it out there in the atmosphere to ruminate a bit about. And it is unfortunate that the Commissioner of Police and somebody at the association head cannot articulate these things better for our public to understand the reality of the situation on the ground. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, Mr. Ruby.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
How are you?
I am good.
I see something on pan. It was too low, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it again. You got that one? Hello?
Repeat that?
I'm getting something on pan. I was saying a voice note to you.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's too low, right?
Okay.
I'll redo it.
All right, no problem.
Hi, Robert. What is wrong with you? What is really, really, really wrong with you? You campaign. You got rejected. Get over it, Anil. You're talking about low class? Have you ever heard yourself, Anil? You have a gutter mouth and you have no right being in parliament. None. The kind of crave hell to get you knocked out with a power saw and high power telescope. You can't be serious. What is wrong with Stuart Young being a Trinidadian? He is 100% to the bone. And he has class, something you would never have. People hear me well. Do not lose your mind and vote UNC. Because they're racist and hateful. Rowdy must go. Now he's leaving the issue with Stuart Young's ex-stepdaughter. If that's the case, Tim will be sanctioned be in power then, because his son, Mr. Mamba Abba, would have cut last. The Adi Ramachan, Fudrama's son, is charged with rape. Why is he still there? Zamba Swift had a guy in a bar, Miss Kajita Amin's man. Why is she still there? All those things exempt you from being in politics. Because having a gun without a license is illegal. Kidnapping her is illegal. Why is she still there? If you want justice, fine. But you're biased and you're hateful when it comes to Stuart Young. Back up gently, because ISO will pray, God, be blessed. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Just see this here. Well, I'm seeing, I'm reading some of the comments here, right? Caribbean Soul is asking me, I'm waiting for an answer. And Curiosity Facts, my answer to what? I try not to read all the comments too much this morning because I don't want to be distracted. Because then I'll just get upset, right? And I had a flip. So but I just taking a glance every now and then. So you would appreciate if you ask me a question, it's probably higher up. So I wouldn't see it. I had to scroll to find it. But I'll see if I could do that. 1 second, Brian. So I'm reading again some of Ghetto Gonda's comments, and okay, I get it. You're an advocate for Penny because everything, it seems Penny is a one man. If you're reading his comments, Penny is a one man or one woman cabinet. Everything the government did is because of Penny. Penny negotiate money. So the couple days ago when he was talking, it was Robert Lehant, and now it's Penny negotiates deals and whatnot, and she get money and all of that. The reason why, what it is he says here, that your parents and your grandparents could do business online is because of what Penny did and what Penny did and what Penny did. So let me ask you something, Ghetto, right? When Penny was the Minister of Housing, nothing was going on in any of these other ministries, right? Nothing was going on. So nothing was going on in the Ministry of Public Utilities when Penny was the Minister of Housing. Nothing was going on in the Ministry of Trade and Industry when Penny was Minister of Housing. All the money that she gets. So basically, the government was at a standstill for the entire period of time that Penny was Minister of Housing. Because all these things that you're saying that she did in her capacity as Minister of Planning is so what? I'm confused. I'm a little confused here. Right? So nothing was happening in the energy sector when Penny was in housing, because you seem to want to give Penny credit for every single thing that is government. You're even giving the Prime Minister credit. So when the Prime Minister and Stuart Young went to Europe and they sat down with the heads of BP and Shell and these companies, and the Prime Minister told them they have their shareholders, he has his shareholders and whatnot, and he has to look after his shareholders and so on. And they were able to get concessions from these energy companies to the tunes of billions of dollars. What role did Penny play in that? Because since Penny do everything, what role did she play in that? Tell me that one now. Right? Achievements and her works compared to Stuart Young. Well, so apparently if we had to listen to you, Stuart Young did absolutely nothing. Since he has been in office, he did absolutely nothing in the Ministry of Energy. And so Dr. Rowley, being the incompetent leader that he is, decided to leave Stuart Young there despite the fact that he knew nothing. Let me just read this here, right? June 29, 2019. This was before all the negotiations took place with Venezuela and stuff. And this was, I think, Stuart Young was at the time still the Minister of National Security. This was before he came into energy. He is my Gary Sobers. That's the new moniker that Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has bestowed on National Security and Communications Minister Stuart Young. It is the second time in less than a month that the Prime Minister has singled out Stuart Young for praise. He did so when he returned from a recent trip to the United Kingdom and Europe and sought to justify why Young's presence was required. He is that good, Rowley told the PNM public meeting in Point 14 on Thursday night as he spoke of Young's importance to the government team. Remember Gary Sobers? Well, he is my Gary Sobers. Sobers was the world's best batsman. He was the West Indies' best orthodox left-hand bowler. He was a slow bowler. He was the West Indies' opening pace bowler. He was also the sharpest fielder on the West Indies team, the Prime Minister said. So when you hear the refer to Minister Young hoping for it to be a derogatory term as the Minister of Everything, he must wear that title as a badge of honor. This is Keith Rowley speaking about Stuart Young before he even took office as the Minister of Energy. Dr. Rowley referred to him as this Gary Sobers. He is that good. So when you're telling me, Ghetto, that you never hear Dr. Rowley praise Stuart Young, even before the man became Minister of Energy, Dr. Rowley said he is that good. Rowley's words, not mine. He is that good. What he meant by that? So you never hear, well, you hear. If you didn't hear it before, you heard it here. Let us say IYK. If you didn't know, now you know. Brian. Morning, sir. Yeah, well, you notice I'm not angry. I'm animated.
See, Dominic, I'll tell you this.
Gosh.
Dr. Rowley again. You know what Zoom Zoom is?
No.
Zoom Zoom is a young St. Benedict's footballer. Has scored 25 goals this season. He befuddled everybody. But the only thing that St. Benedict's did wrong was to register him after he came back from the States. They registered him after he had played a few matches. Although he was in the school before. But when he came back, right, he started to play football for the school. But they didn't register him officially until after a few games. But he's a very good footballer. He plays for Samoa Jabuti. And Dr. Rowley is zoom zoom. Because they didn't, they never expected Dr. Rowley to do what he did. Say that he was going to resign as Prime Minister, and that the person and he gave the opportunity for all of his ministers to vote for the person that they believed would be the next Prime Minister when he steps down. And then after that happened, he said, I support Stuart Young. So you see, from left field, they didn't see it coming. So now they will say anything because they're looking for anything to stick on the wall. But they have all been beaten. Every single one of them. You understand? We have nothing to say. They can't attack poor Dr. Rowley again because he going. He's not holding on to office. He's going. So they're looking to see how best they can attack Stuart Young and demoralize him, but he's not demoralized. He's more energetic than normal, as a matter of fact, in looking at him. And it is upsetting them to such an extent that when they had the meeting, the forum meeting this week, it was an unabated attack from Rudal Munilal because he indicated, as you said earlier, 13 times this man went to Venezuela. When I asked the question in the parliament, I didn't get all of the information. I don't feel like I get all the information. So I'm going to have to send in a FOI. Because I want to know why you want to know exactly who he met with? And what was discussed? When you were told it was about oil, it was about gas. But why you want to know exactly the names of the people he met with? You know why? I'm going to tell you why. And this is for the listeners and your callers who are listening today. Remember I told you all when I spoke last time, Dominic, that what they did with the downstream petrochemical industry, when they denied them gas, and they gave the majority of the gas to the Mitsubishi plant in Labrie.
Mm-hmm.
Point Recess is in UNC heartland. But you know what hurts the UNC? Is that idea of those petrochemical plants that was bringing money because ammonia, we delivered the world second largest amount of ammonia, urea, methanol, and other things. They wanted to stifle those companies to make them get angry, sue Trinidad and Tobago and get up and leave, to destroy the legacy of Ken. What's his last name again? I keep forgetting his name.
Julian?
Julian? Professor Ken Julian. They wanted to destroy that legacy. And they did not want any of that gas. Why would you want to do that? If you could do that to people in your own constituency who get an employment and has developed Cuba and surrounding areas, why would you want to deny those plants gas, natural gas, the feedstock for their plants to deliver and improve on their ammonia and urea and methanol? Why would you want to do that? Well, I want people to understand something. I hope many of you all would have heard President Joe Biden's final speech last night. And it is akin to what could happen in Trinidad and Tobago.
What is happening?
It is very, very clear that if we don't vote and play loose and fast with our votes, the UNC will want to destroy the legacy of Stuart Young and the legacy of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. They want to destroy that dragon deal. And the only way to do it is to garner the information which they don't have. Because they believe they're going to win the next election. Or they believe that because Donald Trump is going to be in office, that they will say or do something to ensure that that is totally destroyed and we get no drugs. They can't stop manatee. They can't stop manatee, but they could perhaps, in their own way, stop dragon and any other agreement that we may have with Venezuela. Because Rudal Munilal is hell-bent on getting more information, because that is how they have done it before. And we have to be very, very careful of these people. They are not about the country, they are about themselves, and they have been made to look bad. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Kevin Ramnarayan have been made to look extremely bad because they know they did absolutely nothing when they were there. And what Stuart Young has done, together with Dr. Rowley, in bringing benefits to Trinidad and Tobago for our children and our children's future, it is hurting them because Stuart Young is looking good. And they don't know how else to attack him. So if you can't attack him directly, you go on the other side. You try to beat his legacy and Dr. Rowley's legacy. That's what they are attempting to do. It's clear. As I said before, they are attempting to do it with the downstream industries with respect to the Mitsubishi, that one single plant down in Labre. Why would you want to destroy the other plants? Why would you go and tell people you can guarantee you all the gas that you need and prevent the other plants in your constituencies that you all hold from getting gas, to the extent where the government was being sued for over $6.3 billion from those downstream industries, and they were getting fed up and they were planning to leave. Why would you do that? You know why? Because they want to destroy people's legacy. They want to ensure that there's nothing that remains of them in this society. That is why. So it's from now till whenever, they will do all in their power, regardless. Even it means it's propaganda, as I started off with this morning. They don't care. That is what they will do. And we, as a people who are thinking about our future, have to be mindful of that. Because they know, Dominic, there's enough gas and manatee for them when it begins to come. Because we know they are kleptocrats. We know when money starts to come in, where it will go. More riches again. So they have already, as far as I am concerned, have already made up their mind with manatee money. And the money that we will get from the Atlantic LNG. They've made up their mind, but respect to Dr. Rowley's legacy. They want to destroy that at all costs. And they will not stop until they do so. Look out. They're going to do, whether they're in power or not, they are hell-bent on destroying that legacy. Hell-bent, because they know they did absolutely nothing. And they will look for any and every excuse to do so. It is in their mantra. It is in their being. They're not about country, Dominic. They've admitted it. They're about themselves and their friends. That's what they are about. Joe Biden said it because they will smother the truth for power and profit. That's what Joe Biden said last night. It is being done in the States. That is why you have Mark Zuckerberg and they're saying that they are going to remove the check factor from their businesses. So people wouldn't be able to fact check what the lies that are going to be perpetrated over the next 4 years. That is why. So they are all beholden to Donald Trump and his stupidity, and it's the same thing almost happening here. That's why every time you come on, you always say, what are the PNM people doing about fact-checking and responding to the amount of lies and propaganda that are perpetrated every single day on the PNM? It is the same thing. Listen to Joe Biden's speech from last night. and you will hear it, and it can be aligned to what exactly is happening in Trinidad and Tobago today. And therein lies why we have to be careful and understand the mission, because we have to protect ourselves from those bunch of kleptocrat vagabonds that all they can do is bad talk and have offered absolutely nothing with respect to bringing in revenue, with respect to assisting the youth, with respect to assisting the country to grow. That is irrelevant to them. And we have to be mindful of that fact, that if we failed to vote in favor of the PNM, this is what is going to happen to all of us, not some of us, all of us. And we have to be very, very careful. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. So Gatsugonda is saying, is this praising of Stuart Young? God, why on earth is Dr. Oli stepping down? Okay, but let everyone face the GC, General Council, and convention on an equal basis, but this Stuart Young devil worship. And again, you missed the point. There will be a convention later on this year. There will be a convention later this year to select a leader, to select 12 other positions, the only positions that will not be up for grabs, unless one of the office holders decides that they want to contest for the leadership, would be General Secretary, Lady Vice Chairman, Stuart Chung is the chairman, so if he decides to contest the leadership, then there will be a vacancy for that. So he would have to resign from that position, I suppose, to be able to contest the leadership, right? Those are the positions. So it's political leader, which will be up for grabs, General Secretary, Lady Vice Chairman, and I can't remember what the other one is right now, right? But if whoever wants to be the next leader will have an opportunity later on this year when the convention is held so that they could vie for the position. Why are you eating up yourself? If you think that Penny is the best choice, then Penny needs to campaign just like everybody else. And when the convention is held later on this year, Dr. Oli mentioned September 28th or before, Penny, Stuart Young, Emery Brown, Foster Cummings, Faris Al-Rawi, Brian Manning, any of these persons are free to submit their nomination papers when nomination day comes, right? And they could file their papers and contest. Simple as that. It's interesting to note that a lot of the people that you would be favoring and who you're vexing, why didn't they throw their hat in the ring in 2022? There were so many positions they could have contested. Why didn't they challenge Stuart Young for the chairmanship of the party? Because that is a senior position on the executive. Why didn't they challenge Stuart Young for that position? And again, I stress and I remind you, Ghetto, that Stuart Young got the second highest number of votes of all the positions that was under contest. Dr. Oli got 8,424 votes and Stuart Young got 8,398. So Dr. Oli got 26 more votes than Stuart Young. Okay, just 26. So I think that speaks to the confidence of the people in Stuart Young. You know what you are concerned about? You all are concerned that if Stuart Young gets the opportunity to serve as Prime Minister, that when that time comes to pick our next leader, that people would look at Stuart Young's performance and say, well, you know, the man doing a good job. I could give him the leadership because I want him to continue to serve as Prime Minister. Well, if as you say, your choice is so great, well, then no problem. Campaign for them. And that person, all the things that you are saying that they did, they will tell the people and they will do the same thing, right? Tell the people, I did this and I did that and it was because of me that this happened and because of me that happened. And Stuart Young and do nothing, and Stuart Young is just a stump on a log, and all the things that they say Stuart Young is going to do, according to you. Okay? Well, all right. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Dominic,
Yes, ma'am.
they could beat up on Penny. They can't beat up on Social. Right? I am not. What I think, and they could keep quiet already. Right? They cannot beat up on Social. They can beat up on Penny. So, it's Social is the man to go, and he has to. I don't know what some of them.
Yes.
What is Social is not China? He come from China, he come from India. He is a he's the only person who's light-skinned in the party. What Dr. Williams was? This one Chinese people Dr. Williams married to.
Yes.
Huh? People are mischievous. We should be paying them money.
Indeed.
Everything nonsense. This is your country. This is the pride on your country. Where you live. That is how you love your country. Just forgetting politics and foolishness. You should be glad that somebody is our country doing. And this is the way how people getting their money to talk after them. Dominic, you have a bit.
You too, Kola. Thank you. Yeah, we love the country, but oh God. Winston, in 2022, December 6, 2022, which was the PNM's last internal election, all right, all seats were up for grabs. As you know, I would have contested for the position of social media officer in that election. All right, in 2022, Dr. Rowley got 8,424 votes. He had three challengers in the persons of Karen Nunes de Shera, Junior Barak, and Ronald Boynes. Yeah, because Roger was the minister under Mr. Meyer. All right, so Ronald Boynes, those were his challengers. Dr. Rowley got the highest number of votes of all contenders, 8,426. Stuart Young got 8,398. The only other persons to get above 8,000 votes was Jennifer Baptiste-Primus, who got 8,156 votes, and Irene Hines, who got Jennifer got 8,200 and something votes, and Irene Hines got 8,156, and everybody else got below 8,000 votes. Hello, good morning.
Hey, Dominic, what's still here? Dominic Barcelona?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you have a bad reception here.
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
I have a question, man. Just looking for the clarification, man. Thanks for clearing that up on the 26 votes by Rowley. I have a question here. Many PNM, let me load up this TV, man. Many PNM supporters keep saying we only have 3 days left of operating costs in 2010 when the PNM came in. Is that true?
2015.
2015. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm just looking for clarification.
Right. No problem.
Hello?
Yeah, you want me to answer you now or off air?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm pretty sure many of the supporters also believe that Trinidad and Tobago only has 3 days of operating costs.
So let me explain it to you. You know, every year when we have the budget, the parliament votes on the budget, right? To pass a budget. The minister outlines how much money the government is going to spend, and there's a specific amount of money. That money is to last for 1 year. So it has to be used judiciously. Now remember, we get money every quarter. Taxes come in, whether it be income tax, corporation tax, oil money tax, gas money tax, it comes in. All right? The government cannot spend any money additional monies without parliamentary approval. So if in a quarter you get more money than you had budgeted for, you can't say, well, hey, we were expected to get 10 billion and we get 12, so we had 12 to spend. It doesn't work that way. You got parliamentary approval to spend 10, you can only spend 10. If you want to spend 12, you have to go back to the parliament and get approval, which is why we have the mid-year review, when the minister will come, and if there are any ministries that need additional monies, and the government has that, the government will now come to the parliament and state, well, we're going to give extra money to this ministry, this ministry, this ministry, and it has to be voted on in the parliament. So in 2015, what would have happened is that for budget 2014, 2015, the UNC would have budgeted to spend a certain amount of money. They would have come back for their mid-year review as well, and parliament approved a certain amount of money, which was supposed to last until the end of the government's financial year, which is September 30th. The UNC went and they spent and they spent and they spent, because when the election was coming, they gave out a whole set of contracts and so on, right? And normally what would have happened, where there would have been some delays with respect to payment and the like. For instance, we would have read where they would have given briefs, and normally briefs could take years to pay. They paid these briefs that would normally take months or even years to pay. They were paying it, they got the invoice today and they paid it next week or the week after, which was unheard of. So that by the time the PNM came in, right, the amount of money that was left over from what was approved by Parliament was only sufficient to run the country for 3 days. So even though there was money coming in, the government...
So what about the Heritage and Stabilization Fund?
Right.
And the $10 billion forex that the UNC left, that's not considered part of the budget?
No, it is not.
I see.
And even if the government wanted to withdraw money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, at that time, the law was that you cannot withdraw from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund unless, and there was a caveat condition, that the government's projected revenues, that the difference between projected and actual, if there was a shortfall of 10% or more, then you could withdraw. But you would only know if there was a shortfall for the year after the end of the financial year, when you collect all your revenues for the year and you realize, well, we were expecting to get 60 billion, but we only get 55 or we only get 54. So we satisfy the 10% so we could withdraw, which is why the government could not withdraw any money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund when they came in 2015, because they had to wait until after September 30th to determine if there was a 10% shortfall, which is the only trigger that the law allowed for them to withdraw. That's why the UNC was unable to withdraw money from the HSF, because they would never found themselves in a situation where there was a shortfall of 10% or more.
Okay.
Yes.
So the former governor of the central bank, so he was incorrect then when he said there was money coming in after that 3 days, oil money. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here. So he was incorrect by saying that.
No. So what he said, this is what Mr. Imbert would have related. He was told the amount of money that we have in the government's account, right, is enough to, based on the country's daily expenses, there is enough left over from what Parliament would have approved to last for 3 days. But
yes, but after the 3 days, then what?
After the 3 days, then you have two options. What Minister Imbert said is that the central bank governor told them he was going to turn off the tap, right? So the central bank governor could have extended the overdraft, give him a little something from the overdraft, but he said, the central bank governor said, I'm going to turn off the tap. So Mr. Imbert indicated that what he then had to now go and do was, now remember, the last quarter, which ends September 30th, which is the end of the government's financial year, you have taxes are owed and taxes supposed to come in. But people will normally they wait until the end of the quarter, they see what their results are, and then they will pay their taxes like the first week in October, the middle of October, the end of October, and so on. Mr. Imbert said he went to the energy companies and said to them, here's what, we are at the end of the quarter, you all have tax monies to pay. I'm asking you if you could pay some of it in advance rather than wait until October, the middle of October to pay, because I need the money now to pay salaries, I need the money now to pay pension and so on. Can you just give me a little advance? And he wasn't told by the energy companies, well, we don't have no taxes to pay you, because based on the concessions given to us by the People's Partnership, we can write off any money that we spent to drill against our taxes and so on. And we drill here and we drill there. And now when we write it off, so basically these concessions mean we don't have to pay any taxes until 2027. So Mr. Embed had no taxes. So the company said hard luck. So what did he have to do? He had to run and borrow money from First Citizens and borrow money from FCB. And Prasad Bisesa is on record as having said that that had she been in office, she would have taken short-term loans to make the payments. She said that, and I could find the article and read it for you.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. So with that said, the former governor of the central bank, Mr. Ram Baran, I believe his name is, he was incorrect by saying we were not in default because we had $5.5 billion in the stabilization fund and we had $10 billion in the forex.
Yes, he lied. He knew the government could not make any withdrawals from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund based on the law. And secondly, the foreign reserves is not for that purpose.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So it was a lie.
It was.
I see. All right. I'll just thank you, man. Thank you for clearing that up.
No problem.
Because yeah, man. I have another question before. I know you're gonna go because it's past the time.
Yes.
During the SUE in under Kamala, Kenya. You said that many people were just grabbed off the street.
Yes.
Wasn't the majority of those people grabbed off the street was violation of the SOE?
No.
No?
Nope.
So they were just grabbing people off the street?
Yes, there is a video that Ian Allen did on Duncan Street, which was normal during the course of the day. And the police claim that they have information and whatever, and they went around to East Port of Spain, and they were just picking up people and telling them jump in the back of the van. And people, these guys are saying, but what's going on here? I don't understand why do. And Inspector Singh, who was the man in charge of that exercise, he wasn't here and he wasn't willing to answer any questions. And Ian Allen, who was filming it, you hear Ian Allen saying, but this ain't right. Something, this not smelling right at all. Something wrong here. And he was trying to get answers from Inspector Singh, who refused to answer him. And they were just taking people and putting them in the back of the van. And that is why today this government had to pay out millions of dollars to these people who were arrested and detained and never charged, some of them, because they simply fit the description.
All right, so the Trinidad Basin Police Service, when they said that they were arresting people for violation of the SOE, basically violated the curfew. That was incorrect. That was a lie.
Correct.
All right, Dominic. Thank you, man. Have a nice day.
You too.
Great show.
Thank you. Right. You see here. But all your brutal in these comments, that's a half of these things are carried. All righty. But I like these opportunities, to explain things, because I said that is something that issue about the 3 days is something that a lot of people have been confused about. Just saying, so it's not that there wasn't money to spend. It's not that the government didn't have money. The fact is the government did not have approval or permission to spend that money. Based on how the law operates, it did not get parliamentary approval. And as you know, Parliament had been prorogued, so they couldn't go back to the Parliament to seek permission. They had to wait until the new parliamentary term came into being, right? Because Parliament was prorogued for the election of 2015. So there was no Parliament to go to get permission to spend any additional monies. All right? Just thought I'd clear that up there. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic. Is this
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit.
All right. Well, let me see if I can get at the Facebook. Do you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Right. This first time caller.
Welcome.
Now, you see what you know explained to that last caller? What plenty people in Trinidad and Tobago is missing out. That government just cannot go into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund and other revenues that is there just like that and take money and spend. They must go to Parliament for any kind of money that they need to spend after what is established in the budget. And I thank you for all these explanation that you give to these callers and them, because they just getting information and make it in misinformation. And people outside is swallowing down like that, Dominic. So I thank you for your explanation for all these misinformation that is being given to the public by the opposition to this government. And I personally telling you, Mr. Stuart Young will do a marvelous job. Without the monies that the government haven't been collecting to do things, and that is what is needed, Dominic. We need the money to do whatever we need to do.
Yes.
And the government haven't got the money that they do. So when people are asking for what the government is doing here and what the government is doing here, money make things work. And up to now, the revenues that the government looking to put in on stream here right now, like the property tax and the revenue authority, there's kickback on the opposition. Don't let those things come to pass. But I would like the government to establish the revenue authority and the property tax, and let us get those revenues so that we can spend it on projects and development throughout Trinidad and Tobago for the citizens' benefit. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Most welcome, sir. All right, and with that, folks, I have to leave it there. I have an appointment for 10 o'clock, so yeah. So as always, thank you all for joining me. And it's always a pleasure to share some information with you. I see persons are appreciative of the explanation for the 3 days. Yeah, so keep the questions coming. I welcome it. Some people say ignore them, but sometimes it's good. It's good to entertain them and give explanations. So enjoy the rest of your day. As I always say, make it a productive one. Be safe on the road. We're supposed to be getting some rain today. All right. So yeah. And God's willing, we will chat again on Sunday, 11 o'clock, as usual. Or maybe 11:15, because I have a tendency to run out the road. As well, just before the live, I remember I need to get something in the market or in the grocery. And I'll try to do so early. Yeah, so we can start at 11 on Sunday, 11:15 there about, right? So let's see what happens between now and then. So thank you all so much, and share the information, right? So when you see that and you go on social media and they refute in the 3 days and whatnot and stuff, explain to them. It is not that there was absolutely no money. Yes, money was coming in, as Pastor Professor said, but the government did not have permission to use that money. Parliament was prorogued, and you need parliamentary permission. That is why when Dr. Rowley would have made the announcement that he was going to invest or spend 100 million in Lavantil, Pastor Professor jumped out. Where are you getting our money from? Parliament never approved that. Because when we sit and the budget is read and we have the yellow book and we go through the yellow book and all of the line items, that was not there. So how can you spend money without parliamentary approval and all of that? Remember that? Yes, that is how it works. So if these expenditures are not approved, that's why you have the Standing Finance Committee during the budget, and people go through and they flipping page after page, subhead, so and so, line item, so and so, and they're asking question. Line item this, line item that. Right. They scrutinize, and the ministers are required to give explanations on every item of expenditure that the opposition asks for information for. So if something is not there and was not approved, you have to come back to Parliament to get approval to spend the money. Right? So you're most welcome, Kathy Belfon. Thank you, Winston, Rosemary. Thank you. Agnes Mondesir, you're most welcome as well. Pammy Gray, Cheryl Seeley, Donna Seeley, all of you guys, thank you so much. So God's willing, we will chat again on Sunday. All right? Enjoy your day.